Hello everyone, welcome back to this new video. Today we are gonna go to the sunny balcony, to my client's balcony, to check on the plants, to see how they are doing. My clients are currently on holiday, so I need to go over there to water the plants and to do a little bit of maintenance. But as per usual, whenever they go on summer holidays, I like to, come by and plant something new so that they have some little surprise when they come back from holidays, some new fresh plants, because usually around this time of year, there's a couple of plants that have just withered and died due to heat and stuff like that. So let's head over to the garden center, let's see what they have, and then we will go to see the sunny balcony. Alright, we have arrived to the sunny balcony. So this balcony is in full sun all day long, but it's really late in the evening now, so we are in the shade, but it's facing south. So on the railing planters, they're a little bit thirsty, if you can see. But on the railing planters, I planted 3 different plants. We have beautiful Dipladenia in pink and in white. We have a trailing Lysmachia over here, and we also have Scaevola, beautiful purple flowers that are a little bit dry. So these planters have not been watered for, I think, 4 days, and they are in full sun. So for 4 days without water, they look pretty okay. So we are gonna water all of this here. And then when I turn to the right, in this corner, honestly, I have to say, I'm pretty surprised how well everything is doing this year. Usually if you have watched any of my previous videos from previous years, when they left on holidays and I came here to do maintenance, everything was usually dead. So this year we have really, it looks really lovely, lots of greens, looking pretty lush. So in this planter on the floor here, I planted some micro-dwarf tomatoes. They've been harvesting for a couple of weeks now. We have Lois's Baby Tiger, beautiful red green stripes, if my camera will focus on it. Yes, there was plenty of tomatoes. Oops. Then I think we had another variety over here that got kind of swallowed by this larger plant. This was a funny plum, and I think there was a third one, but yeah, there's a third one, but I'm not sure which one because there are only green tomatoes on it. But anyway, 3 micro-dwarf tomatoes. Then they planted some herbs over here. Last year I transplanted my Passiflora Eapopeia, which is looking really lovely, really healthy. At first I thought that it was actually dead, but Passifloras, they leaf out really late in the season, like mid-June they start to leaf out, and then they bloom late summer. Obviously very thirsty, so we are gonna water it. Then I planted 2 dahlias. These have been blooming already, but I believe they cut some spent blooms off, and we have some new flower buds appearing. So I'm gonna fertilize them because I don't see a lot of flower buds, and we should have a lot of flower buds. But also, one thing I wanted to show you, when it was incredibly hot in the month of June, they've been extending this awning. I believe that's how it's called, right? So these plants were actually in the shade for most of the day. So that could be also the reason why dahlias are not in full flower. And then we have a Clematis Arabella, that's been blooming beautifully since mid-spring, but now they cut it back because they said it looked a little bit messy. But the thing with this Clematis is I was a little bit shocked when I arrived here a couple of weeks ago, and I saw that they pruned it all the way down. I was like, well, but take a look at this. It grows incredibly fast, and it's a type 3 Clematis, so it blooms on new wood, so there's no problem. And you can see we already have new flower buds appearing, so we will still have some blooms from it this season. So I'm just gonna turn around 2 photinias over there and a couple of empty pots over here. So I think that the very first thing that we are gonna do is we are gonna water and fertilize all of these thirsty plants, and then I'm gonna show you what I bought at the garden center. We are gonna plant it together. All right, we are gonna fertilize everything. So because most of these plants are flowering plants, obviously except for herbs, and well, photinias are technically flowering too, but they flower in the spring. So because most of these most of these plants are flowering plants, we are gonna use Alga Bloom, which is an organic fertilizer for the flowering phase, that you can use both on your ornamental plants and edible plants like tomatoes. So this is what we are gonna use to give those plants a little boost of nutrients. The first plant, beautiful double bloom begonia. I have one of those in my garden in more like a peachy orange color. Begonias are my absolute favorite. They grow well in full shade, partial shade, in full sun. These types of begonia need a little bit more water than the wax begonias. Wax begonias, you can leave them without watering for like a whole week, and they will still bloom beautifully. They are especially adapted to like high heat climates, to sunny places. These are a little bit more fragile, but they can still handle full sun as long as you water them at least a couple times a week. So beautiful double blooms. I don't know the exact name of the variety. It is some begonia hybrid. They never really state on the plant tag which type or which variety it is. Beautiful. Next we have this beautiful plant. When I worked at the garden center, this was by far the most popular summer annual. It's called Portulaca grandiflora, and it's a beautiful succulent that blooms all summer long. You can see beautiful flowers. You can find them in multiple colors. So I picked yellow. But they come in many beautiful colors. You have like flowers with stripes and such. These are extremely heat resistant. Like most succulents, you know, they tolerate high heat climates, they tolerate full sun, and they don't require a lot of maintenance. They don't need to be watered regularly, but they do provide a beautiful pop of color. They are not frost hardy though, so if you would like to keep them until next year, you can either take some cuttings or you can bring in the entire plant home. But we'll see. I will plant it somewhere here. We have never tried this plant on this balcony, so I'm curious to see how that goes, and probably won't survive winter, but who knows. Sometimes you may have a nice surprise. And the last two plants that I picked are these beauties. They are called Catharanthus. Let me show you the plant tag. Here it is. These are also very popular here. For me, they resemble impatiens a lot. But the difference between these and impatiens is that impatiens need a lot of water. They prefer partial shade to full shade, whereas these have somewhat similar flowers, somewhat similar foliage, but these can handle full sun, and they don't require nearly as much watering. You water them well, you let the soil dry out before you water again, but generally they don't require a lot of maintenance. They will wilt a little bit when they are thirsty, but generally speaking they do not require a lot of watering, and they can handle full sun situations. So these are really popular over here, and they come in many beautiful colors: purple, different shades of pink, whites. So decided to pick these two to add a little pop of color maybe over there. So this is my little plant haul for today. Let's find them some spot in this garden. Alright, and now we are gonna pop these beauties at the base to add a little pop of color. And you guys, just a word of explanation, in case if you are thinking that I'm not dressed appropriately for gardening. I do get those comments sometimes, and the thing is that most of the time when I come here or when I do projects for other people, I come straight from work. So, you know, I've been working all day, and it's already pretty late, so I felt like, well, I'm not gonna bring a change of clothes just to do some quick garden project. So yeah, I am not dressed appropriately for gardening, but oh well. I'm going from one work to another work, so that's just what it is. Up. There we go. Smells really lovely. This mint over here. Looking lovely already. I love how it contrasts with the kind of chartreusey green leaves of the passiflora. Now in this little pot on the floor here, I think I'm gonna plant my portulaca. The soil is pretty good, I just need to add a little more. I'm also gonna move the pot because I want the flowers over here in the center. So this will kind of start to grow and spill over the sides of the container. The thing about succulents is that they propagate really easily, so it probably root in multiple places in this pot. So I think it will look lovely. I also want to tie the tomatoes because they let them kind of flop over. These are extremely tall. Like I have the exact same variety, which is like very short as it should be, 30 centimeters tall. But I think that's because, as I said, they were like extending the roof over the balcony, so these tomatoes were not getting any sunlight, so they kind of stretched. But that's okay because they produced quite a bit of tomatoes nonetheless. So it's just that they're a little bit taller than they should be. So I'm gonna tie them to some little plant supports so that they don't break. There we go. So I've been comparing the differences between the tomatoes I grew in my garden, and I gave a couple of tomato plants and tomato seeds to some of my friends, family and clients so that they can test the exact same varieties, because I actually wanted to know for myself, you know, how that experiment will go. So here, these tomatoes are getting full sun, but honestly, flavor-wise, they taste exactly the same as they do in my garden. Like for example, the Lois Baby Tiger, when I made a comparison in one of my last videos, I said that it was a little tasteless, and even though in full sun they produce way more than in shade, taste-wise, they are still not the greatest. But these guys, the little peeps, amazing. Time for begonia, and I think I'm gonna pop it over here because we did not plant anything in these planters this season. They are drying some bay laurel over here, but I think that a pop of begonia, a pop of color here would look really lovely. But it is looking really pretty. Absolutely love this begonia over here. I need to get rid of this bay laurel because it doesn't look pretty. But planters on the railings are bouncing back. I'm gonna check if they need to be watered once again. We have a little pop of color over there, and once this gets a little bit of sunlight, it's gonna create a little mound. It will start to spill with beautiful yellow flowers, and then hopefully those two dahlias will start to flower as well. They have a little bit of, a couple of flower buds, so hopefully that fertilizer will give them a little bit of a boost, and then we'll still have some flowers from the clematis. I will try to maybe come here once again sometime to give you an update on everything that we did today. All right, you guys, it is getting really late, so I wanted to thank you for spending some time in this sunny garden with me today. If you would like to see more videos from this space, I have a playlist called The Sunny Balcony, where you will find seasonal compositions and just general maintenance and all the projects that I have ever completed in this garden. So if you would like to check it out, it's on the Sunny Balcony playlist. Thanks so much for joining me today, and we will see each other in the next video.